Hi there, this is Into Vietnam, the daily business news, only here on VITV channel. Here are the major stories. The Economist magazine said Vietnam's public debt rises 10%. The government press conference was held on September. And the central bank governor says Vietnam loan growth surges in September and the year target of 12 to 14% is totally reachable. The Economist Global Debt Clock on September the 30th showed Vietnam is bearing a total public debt amount of roughly $84.32 billion, equivalent to 47% of the gross domestic product or GDP. With a population of 90.96 million people, each Vietnamese person is bearing a debt of $930. By the end of September 2013, the country's public debt stood at $76.24 billion. Hence, after 1 year, the debt increased by $8.08 billion or 10%. This means each Vietnamese bears another $84 in the course of 1 year. According to the central bank governor, credit for property and high-tech industries prompted a surge in lending by Vietnam's banks during September, making the country's annual target of 12 to 14% absolutely reachable. Loan growth since the end of 2013 rose sharply from a sluggish 4.5% at the end of August to 7% at present. Lending was low mainly due to stable debt, troubles in processing assets used as collateral, and failure to properly promote a scheme aimed at helping businesses secure loans. Credit growth for high-tech enterprises and property at 13 to 10% respectively has outperformed other sectors. Weak credit growth has prompted banks to boost investment in government bonds, which grew nearly 22% from last year by the end of August. Also on the day, the government office held the frequent press conference of the month and reviewed the socio-economic conditions in the first 9 months of 2014. The government also discussed major issues of concern, including the imports of contaminated cooking oil from Taiwan and the capital plan for Long Thanh Airport project. More to follow. On the socio-economic results in September and in the first 9 months of 2014, Head of the Government Office, Mr. Nguyễn Văn Nên said, the national economy continues to achieve encouraging changes and results in all fields. Economic growth in the third quarter improved from the previous quarter and hit 5.62% by the end of September, higher than the same period 2 years ago. The Consumer Price Index rose 2.25% from December 2013, posting the record low level in the past decade. It's projected that Vietnam is on the way to realize the set targets and plans, including the economic growth target of 5.8% this year. At the press conference, representatives from the ministries also answered questions on the hottest issues in recent time. Regarding the incident of 2 Vietnamese companies are in the list of enterprises importing contaminated cooking oil from Taiwan, the Finance Ministry representative said the ministry collected information and timely monitored the imports of cooking oil and processed foods of Vietnamese companies to prevent similar incidents.
Thưa ông chí, thì đã câu hỏi liên quan đến vấn đề dầu bẩn của Đài Loan, thì vấn đề chúng tôi này thứ nhất là Bộ Tài chính thì đã chỉ đạo Tổng Hải quan và Tổng Hải quan nắm rất chắc các cái thông tin này. Đã có cái chỉ đạo hải quan các cửa khẩu thì đều thực hiện cái kiểm tra tất cả những cái lô dầu mà có liên quan đến Nhật từ Đài Loan để kiểm tra chất lượng. Và tất cả ngoài cái lô dầu ra, ngoài tất cả những cái thông tin về thực phẩm nữa mà có sản xuất từ những cái có từ xuất xứ Đài Loan đấy, có cái liên quan đến có nguyên liệu là dầu thì đều có cái kiểm tra chất lượng trước khi cho phép thông quan nhập khẩu.
On Long Thành Airport project, representative of the Ministry of Transportation said the capital allocation plan for the project was submitted to the government for approval of the second phase. In detail, the ministry will try to raise capital from investors to minimize the use of the state budget.
Thì dự án sân bay Long Thành thì sẽ là dự án thực hiện là phương án là cổ phần hóa, cho nên là cái dự án này là liên danh các cái nhà thầu để mà đầu tư cái dự án này, và sau đó sẽ tiến hành là cổ phần để mà thực hiện cái xã hội hóa công tác đầu tư. Thì dự án được chia làm hai giai đoạn. Giai đoạn khởi động thì báo cáo các đồng chí tức là sẽ xây dựng với cái công suất thiết kế là từ 20 đến 20 triệu hành khách năm. Thì tổng mức đầu tư của nó xấp xỉ khoảng là 6 tỷ đô la Mỹ. Và giai đoạn 2 thì khi chúng ta có đủ cái điều kiện về kinh tế thì chúng ta sẽ nâng lên là khoảng là 60 triệu đến 80 triệu hành khách năm. Hiện nay thì là Bộ cũng đang kêu gọi các cái nhà đầu tư trong và ngoài nước để tham gia cái liên danh này và giảm tối đa cái đầu tư từ ngân sách nhà nước.
At the government session, Prime Minister noted that although Vietnam has achieved good economic growth, it should not be content with the recent results. Vietnam instead should try to promote achievements and resolve current problems to create a new boost for growth in 2015. The Vietnam Business Forum magazine, or VBF, said real estate business is currently ranked the second in attracting foreign investors. According to the Ministry of Planning and Investment, as of August 20th, 2014, Vietnam attracted 992 newly licensed projects with a total registered capital of $7.24 billion, up 29% over the same period last year, along with $2.9 billion of additional capital for 349 ongoing projects. The total registered capital in real estate projects of foreign investors this year has been up to $10.23 billion. The total real estate loans in the country is estimated at about more than 260 trillion dong, accounting for 8% of the total outstanding loans of the whole banking system. According to the General Statistics Office data, on the first 9 months of this year, nearly 12% of young urban residents aged between 15 and 24 are jobless, 3 times more than in rural areas. The survey showed that the industrial sector provided more jobs as of September the 1st, up by 0.7% from the previous month and up by 4.2% compared to the same period last year. Employment in state-owned enterprises was stable, while that in private and foreign businesses recorded an increase of 4.2 to 5.6%. The number of employees in the mining sector decreased by 3.6%. Processing, engineering, manufacturing and power industries, water supply and waste treatment services employed 2.6 to 4.8% more young people than last year. The northern province of Quảng Ning's total commodity export value reached $1.13 billion in the first 9 months of the year, 55.6% of the year plan, or 93.3% of the same period last year. It's reported some commodities witnessing export increase compared to the same period last year was seafood, clothes, brick, tire and cement. Meanwhile, import turnover of businesses in the province reached an estimated $1.16 million, exceeding 0.8% of the year's plan. Temporary import, re-export and commodity value through warehouses were estimated at $2.3 million over the past 9 months, 92% of the same period last year. During the first 9 months, Quảng Ninh licensed and added capital to 42 projects with a total capital of 22.2 trillion dong, a year-on-year rise of 62.3%. Despite being a restrained imported commodity, completely built units saw the imports in Vietnam rise between January and September to hit 44,000 units, worth $938 million. According to the General Statistics Office, in September alone, automobile imports in Vietnam was 7,000 units, valued at $132 million. In 9 months, Vietnam imported 44,000 completely built units or CBU, valued at $938 million, up 74% in volume and 90.2% in value on year. Vietnam's automobile imports contributed 0.9% to the total import revenues in 9 months. The number of middle-class auto buyers in Vietnam is on the rise, which continues to be a big challenge for local automobile manufacturers in the context that Vietnamese people with high income are rising, but they tend to use imported goods. As usual, the final part is summary of local gold prices, forex and stock market. Well, that's all for this edition of Into Vietnam. Thank you so much for the time. We'll see you soon and goodbye for now.